Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. In the last video, we spoke about how various thought leaders of the Islamic finance industry have contributed to the discussion on Maqasid al-Shariah. Among other things, we talked about Ibn Ashur's emphasis on the need to break down the Maqasid discussion into specific chapters of Islamic jurisprudence or fiqh. Scholars like Sheikh Ibn Bay'ah and Sheikh Qutb Mustafa have concurred and accordingly built upon such ideas. Since then, there have been various innovative propositions, most notably Malaysia's SC's Maqasid guidance for the Islamic capital market, which has introduced major enhancements and developments to the subject matter at hand. For instance, with regards to Imam Ibn Ashur and Sheikh Qutb's growth and circulation of wealth maqsad, the SC's Maqasid guidance has expanded its parameters to include building an ecosystem that is supportive of businesses in need of assistance. It then packaged these principles under the maqsad of accessibility and inclusivity. In a like manner, it encapsulated the principles of promoting efficiency and avoiding wastage, and upholding best practices, codes of conduct, and ethical values under its maqsad of justice and benevolence. These are just some instances of the in-depth developments made by the SC's Maqasid guidance to the Maqasid discourse. We garner from all of this that there are serious ongoing efforts to reconstruct the Maqasid blueprint within the Islamic finance industry in hopes to steer its original spirit back on the right path. And even though no consensus has been arrived at over what constitutes the Maqasid of Islamic finance activities, each added layer contributes to its completion. In fact, at times, such advancements come in the form of realigning the existing constructions rather than adding new layers. As such, here are a number of realignments that the Islamic finance industry's architects and engineers should perhaps take into consideration. Firstly, with regards to tayyib, it was proposed earlier that halal tayyib was to be established as the standard for practices to be considered allowable within the industry. Now, the challenge comes about when putting such standard into practice. This is due to the differences in capacity levels as well as superstructures within jurisdictions of the industry. As such, the tayyib standard cannot and should not apply in a standardized manner. Rather, it must be tailor-made to correspond to the unique factors within and surrounding the jurisdiction it is applying to. Factors such as financial, legal, and economic infrastructures, as well as cultural sensitivities. Accordingly, like in the case of diets, the respective jurisdiction would be assisted in developing a personalized tayyib plan. And while it is true that each country's unique factors have an impact on the speed by which the intended outcomes are materialized, dedication and commitment ultimately define whether or not progress is made, and more importantly, sustained. Now, the second realignment is specifically aimed at the SC's Maqasid guidance, and it is to do with the term objectives, which some might argue has been overused. When we look within the guidance, we find that the said term has been used to describe Maqasid on three different levels: ultimate objectives, objectives of financial transactions, and objectives of ICM, the Islamic capital market. The reason behind so is presumably owing to the fact that the word objective is translated from the Arabic word maqsad, which could be translated as aims, purposes, goals, intentions, and objectives. Now, this repeated usage could be seen as problematic because it projects an image of redundancy onto the SC's guidance, and a sense of discontinuous or non-stage-based approach in achieving the ultimate maqasid of the Sharia. Now, to counter this issue, we propose the use of distinct terminologies at each level. Terms like purpose and aim would be positioned closer to the roof as they are seen as more general terms, while terms like goals, objectives, strategies, and even KPIs that have been used in BNM's VBI guidance framework would be positioned more towards the base as they are more specific and measurable. And yes, there is a need for the SC's guidance to introduce items that call upon ICM players to act. In essence, action-based items, as well as items that measure or quantify the extent to which the maqasid or impact has been realized. Also, with there being a lack of scholarly consensus on the definition of such alternative terminologies, it is incumbent upon the relevant players to define them. Here's a demonstration of how such realignments in terminologies would apply in the SC's guidance. The objective of enhancing disclosure and documentation would contribute to achieving the goal of clarity and transparency in ICM transactions, which would contribute to the aim of serving benefits and preventing harm amongst contracting parties, and ultimately serve the Sharia's purpose of achieving human welfare. Let's try and recap everything. Maqasid al-Shariah has been the center of the discourse within the Islamic finance industry in recent times. Since Ibn Ashur's call for discussions on it to be dedicated to chapters of Islamic jurisprudence, various innovative contributions have been made to it, most notably Malaysia's SC guidance for its Islamic capital market. Notwithstanding the great efforts of industry experts, we've managed to propose a number of realignments to it, particularly with regards to the subjectivity in applying the Tayyib plan, the importance of using distinct terminologies to describe the maqasid at each level, and the need to incorporate more quantifiable action-based items. Finally, as much as developing a respectable Maqasid al-Sharia framework is necessary, it is the case that the collective willingness of all stakeholders to make the necessary sacrifices plays a central role in achieving and, more importantly, sustaining the ultimate objectives of the Sharia within the industry and beyond. So let's reconstruct accordingly. Bismillah.